Hi, I'm Renata Gabor. I'm a practical homeopath, and I've decided to do my first ever online talk. And the first subject will be about children with learning difficulties, sensory differences, and about a personal story that may show you some insight about healing and about improving the quality of life with the support of homeopathy. I'm here with Deniz. She's my client and friend because our journey started on both levels at the same time. I first met her at a gym where I used to offer massage therapy. And as a student homeopath at that time, I decided to offer her help with her broken finger. Later, she booked a massage with me, and then she shared stories about her daughter and her life in general. And that's where all began. So, thanks, Deniz, for doing all this with me. And apologize, I don't know where to look in the camera because I have several glasses. But thanks for doing this with me. I know how hard it is to organize the time. And can you tell me about your first experience about the remedies when you use them for your finger? And I think I also gave you some for hay fever.
So I'd broken my finger in a car accident. I'd already had one unsuccessful operation and was awaiting another. I was suffering really badly with pain and swelling. And when you reached out to me offering help, I was skeptical, but I didn't have anything to lose. And the remedy you gave me reduced the swelling significantly and immediately. So I already had better mobility in the hand. And it was the same with my hay fever. The remedy you provided gave me instant relief from all my symptoms. So I was genuinely amazed and grateful for your help.
Yes, I remember I was a passionate student at that time, and I was just giving remedies for everyone to try anything I can. And I remember I saw your finger, and even I was amazed. I mean, it was the first time I tried it for anyone with broken finger. So yes, it was fun. So now about your daughter, yes. Can you tell me about the beginning of your journey with your daughter?
So Isabella displayed lots of behaviours that made me think she might have ADHD. The most challenging of which was how self-directed and impulsive she was. Um, I had to watch her like a hawk, whether we were at home or out and about. My request for an assessment was successful, and she was eventually diagnosed with autism, which came as a shock at first, but once I started doing some research, the pieces fell into place. Her social interactions were often awkward and had to be supervised. She struggled with eye contact and wouldn't always respond to her name being called. Her lack of emotional regulation and the stimming, or what some people refer to as tics, all made sense at that point. And personally, it was a relief to know that I wasn't, or I hadn't been overreacting, and it reassured that my instincts as a mum were right.
Mhm.
Um, a couple of years later down the line, she was also diagnosed with ADHD. And that dual diagnosis explained the constant push and pull within her. And it really was instrumental in truly understanding her and knowing how best to support her.
Mhm.
So,
Well, what a
yeah.
journey. What a journey, because I guess for you now you had to think how to go from here and how it will impact your lives together. So yeah, it's interesting. And what was the first sign? Because what did you notice first?
So when I first came to you with regard to her, backstory, sleep with her was an issue from birth due to her struggle with transitions, getting ready for and into bed, switching off her brain and actually going to sleep, and then waking up and getting out of bed and getting ready for the day, was and continues to be, to some degree, huge challenges for her. And at times it's incredibly stressful for both of us. But at that time, she'd started having these nightmares on a regular basis, which just made everything so much worse. And then the remedy that you did end up prescribing for her, whilst it didn't resolve the sleep issue itself completely, it stopped the nightmares,
Yes.
and very quickly.
That is brilliant. I was working with fringed violet flower essence and the remedy called phosphorus at that time. When you mentioned about the signs of her behavior, I just wanted to quickly mention that what I think about learning difficulties or neurological issues of many kinds is that these issues are not new. Today's children are only the product of generational traumas and generational toxicity. When we either over-intellectualize things or the opposite, we can't mentally focus or we are trying to process things, usually it indicates that the brain is in a survival mode, while emotional needs are neglected. We can go back to the time of the world wars when survival instincts were hugely triggered, and at the same time, they introduced neurotoxins. These toxins were damaging our genes, and we inherited these weaknesses, both emotionally and physically. The pattern of surviving has now manifested in constant worrying about paying the bills and making the living. So today's kids are just another level of these coping states. They need a safe environment because it is now time to feel safe and learn to express love and how we truly feel again. This is when the energy from the head, thinking, surviving, can be directed back to the heart to learn expressing once again how we feel. And I understand that it's not always easy because I see the dynamics within families. I've seen many children and parents with similar struggles, and it's not always easy to create this space for healing or to begin. And many times I see huge blocks, either financially or just lifestyle and responsibility factors, but we can only do as much, but there is always something that we can do step by step, a little by little. But as long as we realize that it doesn't matter if it's a child or we could talk about an adult with any type of chronic condition, the number one priority in order to start healing is to create that safe space and to learn sense of safety again. That's the only way to move forward, or we will just constantly repeating the same patterns over and over again. So this is all I wanted to say. Sorry for taking so long. We can go back to the same subject where we left the nightmares.
First time I gave remedies for her nightmares. I think maybe I offered it, or that's the first thing you mentioned.
I think it just kind of came up in casual conversation. I think at that point was just when we were still pretty much working on me with my finger and the odd massage, etc. But it was then that you and I really started talking about Isabella, her nervous system and neurological state as a whole. And that's when I brought up my concerns to you about how to best go about helping her overcome these hurdles that would help her improve her quality of life. Just kind of snowballed from there, really.
Yes. And do you remember if it helped straight away, or maybe I had to change the potency? Because I'm pretty sure I remember it gave me a huge opportunity to learn about homeopathic potencies, and I quickly realized that these children need a different way of prescribing because they are hypersensitive. They don't need such a high doses or such a high potencies. Did I have to change it, or did it work straight away?
I'm not entirely sure on the sleep remedy. It was quite a while ago, so forgive me. But I do remember that we quickly focused on her gut health as well as essential vitamins and minerals. And you recommended probiotics along with B vitamins, zinc, and potassium. And then because Isabella has such a super heightened sense of smell and taste, plus she struggles to swallow larger tablets, finding the right balance between liquid, powder, and tablet forms took some trial and error.
Yes.
I think I drove you pretty crazy because I'd keep coming back and saying, Renata, no, she's not getting on with this. What can I do instead?
Yes, I mean, I didn't mind at all. I don't think it annoyed me on any way. It was actually very interesting because at that time I was not even very prepared with a diet plan. And then I realized actually it's good because we cannot introduce any diet. And I've learned that I learned about her sense of smell and sensitivity of tastes. And then I realized the best thing we can do is if we do little remedies first. And I also support her with supplements because supplements are much easier and quicker to take. And we are mineral beings. We need essential minerals to function properly. So one of the way to improve her focus or her general energy level is to give her the right supplements. And one of the things I noticed, I don't know if you directly noticed from this particular supplement, but B1 is a very big supplement for these kids. And many people, because they love sweets, that's the only thing they love. And when you eat a lot of carbs, we easily become depleted of B1. And B1 is also a big vitamin for focus and memory. So I think, as you said, but one of the issues was the swallowing the capsule, which was also my own learning. And yes, so you talked me about it, and somehow we managed to get her into it.
We did, and over time there was a very noticeable difference. Her sweet cravings reduced. She was able to maintain focus for longer. So I could see we were heading in the right direction, and that definitely felt good.
Yes, so yes, at that time, I think it was more the supplement that helped, but it gave a really good base for continuing the progress, and it was a really good strengthening. Yes, about the swallowing, it's very interesting because obviously, if they have neurological difficulties, then swallowing can become scary. But on a mental and emotional level, when we can swallow very well, it's about swallowing our own truth and not expressing it. So we don't have, once again, we don't have the safe space to express how we truly feel. And this is a very important point. So from here, where did we go? I remember after the second or third appointment, I decided to consider environmental toxins, and I gave her some detox. And about detox, I just quickly wanted to mention that in the 21st century, I think most people, when they begin a healing journey, we would need to consider detox. And this will help with removing and finding the way to their true personality. When we suffer from toxicity, we aren't fully in balance. It will reflect not only on physical well-being, but on our behavior patterns as well. And according to traditional Chinese medicine, it is the liver that corresponds to the emotion, anger and frustration. And if you noticed, even when people do fasting, for example, at the beginning of some sort of detox, they become irritable and not easily handled. And it's kind of normal because we are stimulating the liver. And I remember she did get irritable at school. And I felt so guilty because I thought it's not the right time to give her a detox, and I will put you off and you will hate me. And and it was one of the big points for us because when we start holistic treatments, at some point it will really require teamwork. And this was the time where we really have to switch on the teamwork mode, and you were smarter than I thought. So
yeah, I mean, like you say, this was probably the most pivotal point in our journey, because with the introduction of the detox, I noticed a big change in Isabella. She became more irritable, and outspoken, and at times really quite scarily angry. And I was worried because this just wasn't her. It wasn't her personality or character. And my initial instinct was fear, stop the detox. But then thankfully, I stepped back and I really had a better look at the situation as a whole. And I quickly realised that her behaviour was more likely a response to her school environment at that time. And this is hugely important because, I mean, as you said, for everyone, but particularly for a child like Isabella, environment is everything. It didn't matter how much support you and I were implementing. If the environment itself wasn't conducive, then our strategies were pretty much rendered useless.
yes, but also, sorry.
So I made some crucial decisions at this point. Obviously, first was to continue with the detox. It was to allow Isabella to express rather than suppress what she was feeling. I felt it was really important to give her the space and safety to release all that frustration in order to properly understand and deal with it. Second, for reasons that I won't state here, I removed her from that particular school with immediate effect. And I think it's fair to say that that was without doubt the best decision I made for her, and honestly for me too, because the difference in her overall demeanor from that point was just like night and day.
Yes, yes, it was your personal realization. I would not know this because everyone's story is different and everyone goes to a different school. So this was your job. I had no idea. So obviously teachers are really busy and their job is very demanding. So how would they have time to see if a child is on a holistic healing plan or support? And she will be on detox, and now she will be irritable, and maybe she will get triggered by a situation which may be fair, may be unfair. I don't know, you don't know. So we have to investigate the situation. So for your particular story, what was working is what is your own realization. And so it was very interesting to me. But I think while you were dealing with the school and what you needed to change, I actually decided at that point to only give her organ support, to actually give her some break from the detox, to make sure that her system is strong and she relaxes from this episode. And when I prescribe homeopathic organ support, this is for the purpose of strengthening key organs and also carry on with the supplementation so that she will be much stronger next time. And during this time, you were dealing with changing school, dealing your own battle, which was part of the plan, really. It's about lifestyle. It's about making your life easier and create the space. And so what we did after she started this school, and it took some time, but organ support does take time. So it does take 3 to 6 months to make her strong again. And then she started this school. How was it?
Well, so in the build up to that, there was obviously a lot of uncertainty, but she was receiving tuition at home. And given that obviously home is her safe, comfortable environment, she was actually flourishing, both personally and academically. And alongside the organ support, obviously, I was putting in a lot of work with her just to build her back up and help her find her balance again. So there was a lot of growth for both of us during that time. And then obviously she started secondary school in September, and it's a specialist school for children with autism that has a holistic approach. And
Oh, actually.
she's doing far better than I could have ever hoped for or
Yes.
imagined. She settled in with ease. She's made some lovely friendships. She genuinely loves all her teachers and lessons. It's just
But you are also a very strong-willed person. So once you decide something, you really go for it and you do the work. So without doing this work, how would we get to this stage? So it's incredible. So also when I was doing the organ support, we just had to trust the process. But that's when I noticed also about the tics, because I don't really know tics. You told me the word.
Yeah, well, so tics or stimming in her case, to be more accurate, they were never really of great concern to me. When she was younger, she'd flap her hands or make like high-pitched squeal sounds. And then as she got older, these became like coughs or just clearing her throat. Me personally, I saw through them. They were basically situational coping mechanisms. It was her way of communicating that she was either overwhelmed or dysregulated. And my way of dealing with it was, rather than drawing attention to it and making her feel self-conscious and possibly make it even worse, I just focused on trying to make her feel safe and supported. And they're very, very few and far between now. They don't happen very often.
Yes, yes, it's incredible actually. I didn't even ask you about it recently, but I remember when I first met her, the first thing I noticed, she would talk into our conversation more, but I also didn't mind, but I do have problem with multitasking. It's not my strength at all. But actually, I got to know her better, and obviously I started to enjoy her company more and more. And then later I noticed the coughing at some point during this organ supporting time, and she was doing the coughing. That's when you called it a tic, and I learned it because I've never knew. And then after another appointment, I realized she didn't cough. But I was also looking up remedies for it, and then I did add it to the plan. And yes, so how is it now?
Well, so now obviously we're in a position where everything has slot into place. So we've got the remedies and supplements down for now, her environment. So yeah,
I mean the tics mainly, the tics.
Yeah, I told you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's literally like very, very rarely
Amazing.
does it happen. So
yes,
like I say, that's because everything is coming together.
Together, yes.
Yeah,
I think it's also because the way we started in the beginning, we were quite chilled. We didn't have any plans or any goals. We just went by the flow, and we just followed what her body says or what the situation says and what to do next, which is really, that's what true healing is about, just to go with the flow and to go with the natural flow of the body and just go follow through. So then I decided to put her back on the detox, and this was when she started this new school, and I was anticipating it because I remember what happened at the other school, and I said, oh, let's see, let me know what happens because I don't want to put you in trouble. And she was fine.
Yeah, you scared me at first because, I mean, fair play, you did say obviously it might bring to the surface any underlying issues, etc. and it was in the back of my mind. But honestly, it's just it's been brilliant. Like I'm still amazed and so grateful. But yeah, she's in such a positive place. She's absolutely
Yes.
thriving. Um, she still has some challenges, don't get me wrong, you know, with her emotional regulation, her focus. But I think given age, hormones,
Oh,
these
yes.
are all
I
these are at a
did.
normal level.
Oh, yes,
Not like before.
No, and I actually forgot to mention that when we started this journey, she was just before puberty. So in the middle, she also started to get into the puberty. So
Yeah.
it was also an extra story to it. So we had to consider many things. And obviously, removing environmental toxins, you can name these toxins whatever you want to call them, but removing them will eventually show results, and it will show and clear the personality. And then what we work with after is the true person, who she really is without toxins. And then we can look at her like we would look at anybody else, like our baggage, our family history, our whatever generational trauma, because it will all show in many different ways. And okay, so we did this detox, and then you told me that she was doing very well with her studies.
Yeah. I mean, she's particularly drawn to the more practical elements of the curriculum, so like science, food technology, maths. She's consistently awarded certificates for behavior, her work, and just her general attitude. Like all her teachers say, she's such a joy. She's just such a positive influence. And I love hearing these things because for so long I watched her struggle and try to fit in. And to now be in a place where, you know, she is being her natural self. You know, there's no more masking, pretending. It's such a relief and so amazing for me as her mum to see her in this place. So yeah, I can't. Very happy.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. And I really like her too. Like, obviously, I got to know her over the time, and she is a lovely person. And I'm quite sensitive for external impressions, because actually, I didn't mention before, but my own mom has learning difficulties, and nobody diagnosed her back in the days. I had to figure out myself, because she brought me up as a single mom. So I had to figure out myself that she's different, and I had to adapt. And yes, so, and the tics, when you mentioned once again the tics, I realized, oh my God, my mom has tics because she keeps coughing. And then I started to obviously try and do things with her. So this is not just about your daughter and homeopathy. It's about you, it's about my mother, and also about looking at anyone with similar issues and similar struggles, because every case and every person teaches us something new. Yes, and obviously the right supplements, but we also forgot to mention about the sweet craving, because I think it improved. You
We
know.
didn't. We covered that. I told you it improved.
Did you say? Sorry.
No,
Oh.
no. We said the sweet cravings improved. Yeah.
I think it was also with giving the result of giving the right supplements, and supporting, bringing her back to balance. Because now this is now the time, actually, if you want to obviously carry on trying new things with me, this is the right time to actually do a diet plan, focus more on nutrition as much as you can. Of course, you're busy with working, she's busy with, you're busy with your responsibilities, but this is the right time to actually implement diet without force and without any pressure.
Yeah, you need to concoct a magic pill that will help her eat her vegetables.
Well, we can look at it later. I will find that magic pill. So how do we go from here? What do we carry on with? I'm sure we carry on with the remedies for a while, but honestly, um, yes, it was such a huge experience, and you made it easy because you gave patience and time, and there was no pressure, no expectations, and you did the work, which is rare.
Yeah, I'm honestly just blown away. It's been a roller coaster of a journey. I'm sure we'll have some more surprises thrown in our direction later on down the line. You know, that's
Yes.
just the way things work.
Yes.
But I'm just, I'm hopeful now. You know, I've seen where we were, where we are now. So I don't have any anxiety about the future anymore. Things may come up, they probably will come up, but I know that together we can deal with them and
Um,
overcome them. So thank you, Renata.
no problem. Thank you for letting me learn all this. I think also because as I said before, I meet with many families and many children with similar struggles, and they don't always have the safe space. They don't have the circumstances to change things around and turn things around. So everyone have their own divine timing and divine calling to start a healing journey. And you had the time, so I guess it was meant to be. And I hope that everyone noticed that number one priority, if we want to improve anyone's health and well-being, whether it is a child with learning difficulties or an adult with a chronic condition, the number one priority is to create a safe space. And you did that, and then we carried on with everything. And yes, I hope that what we shared is helpful. And if there is any opinion, it's welcome. And maybe we can talk about this more next time.
Definitely. Thank you.
Let me know. Thank you very much. And I see you soon.
You will.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.